So I had a great opportunity to spend around 5 months in Lyon doing a French language course, and when I went, I knew absolutely zero French. And let me tell you, French is extremely unforgiving for beginners. Not because it's super hard, but because it's a minefield of inevitable social disasters.
Okay.
So French has a ton of similar words to English, so you start freestyling when you're not sure where the right
Yeah,
word
of
is,
course.
and that is a terrible, terrible mistake.
I gotta beat this.
Okay, so decided is décider.
Décider.
Integrated, intégré.
Intégré.
Concentrated, concentré.
Concentré.
So how do you think you would say excited? Excité.
Excité.
Pretty straightforward guess.
Yeah.
So how would you say I'm excited to meet you?
This is for when I meet
Here's the
the
template.
guy.
Je suis
Je
blank
suis.
de faire votre connaissance.
Tu fais voter
So let's say you're meeting the
connaissance.
mother of your host family and you say Je suis excité de faire
Je
votre
sais ça.
connaissance. But wait, why is she looking at you funny? Because you just said I'm horny to meet
Oh
you.
shit. This is I didn't watch past the first part when I first met him, so that's what I said to the guy. So that's unfortunate. But welcome to the show. If you didn't know who I'm talking about, well, the guy who helped fork Bitcoin into Bitcoin Cash to make it actually usable. All right, I need to get off this this background. The dude's name is Amri Sachet, and if Bcash stopped pretending to be Bitcoin, Luke Dash Jr. would be would be willing to consider doing some work for hire on it sometimes. So the more you know, I guess we just need to stop pretending to be Bitcoin. But we're Bitcoin Cash, bro. We are a version of Bitcoin, so I don't know what you're talking about. So anyways, we'll go into some other. This is your best source for Lightning Network news, is calling it like it is. Fractional Reserve Lightning has been proposed for Lightning Network, where basically you have a configuration where your Lightning Network nodes allow local or remote balances in particular channels to go negative. And so the debt is not resolvable on chain because, that'd be stupid. Why would you want to use a chain? So participating nodes must have trust, legal agreement, etc. So that makes a lot of sense, right? Like, good thing we're doing this cryptography so people have legal agreements outside of it. So that's been proposed. And it's been proposed because routing sucks, basically. So that's Fractional Reserve Lightning, guys. It's a new innovation. It's the latest in boondogglement technology. And some other Lightning Network news, because again, calling it like it is your best source of Lightning Network news. So Lightning Network probing performed by this guy suggests that 90% of payments can be completed within 4 attempts, 30 seconds. And so I looked into this a little bit, and he basically tried to, every new attempt was like a different route he tried. And so apparently only it needs 4 attempts to hit 90%. So that sounds like a reliable payment network, right? So so that should be good. So who really created Bitcoin Cash? I know I said it already, so I kind of messed this joke up. But Roger Ver, Bitcoin.com, is always accused. It's funny, you can call it accusing, that he created Bitcoin Cash because he's the most known character in space, and apparently the number one Bitcoin host with the title "What Bitcoin Did" doesn't think that Roger's telling the truth. But good thing his podcast isn't called "What Bitcoin Cash Did." Yeah, that worked better in tweet format.
Calling it like it is, before he came over to CoinSpice, formerly did a YouTube show with Roger Ver, who's now chairman of Bitcoin.com, and they had a kind of a freewheeling, fun conversation. It was just, they were kind of broing out and nothing too serious. And Collin prompted Ver with a question like, who's your arch enemy or whatever, and whatever crypto. And Ver, of course, said he thinks that this person really dislikes him, and he talked about.
So I'm skipping ahead a little bit. This is obviously where Roger talked about Jackness. Wait, no. Sorry. Starkness having a relationship with Jack Dorsey of Twitter. And this is, sorry, I didn't preface this. This is a podcast with Amri Sachet that CoinSplice just did. Came out 2 days ago. So
Elizabeth Stark, and he was kind of half smiling and laughing. There was noticeable outrage or just kind of dismissal, or here's, Veer again talking about nothing or whatever, and creating and stirring things up. And then Roger doubled down. He actually, tweeted out, I do think that, perhaps about people white knighting and coming to her defense, and sort of all the usual characters. And you retweeted. So you said, look, I don't remember. I should have, if I was a real podcaster, I would have actually read it again. But I remember you saying something like, look, this is an example of what I'm talking about. Like, these guys are immature idiots. You didn't call us idiots, but this is what I'm saying. But, these guys are immature, and this is the kind of bullshit that we're dealing with. What did CoinSpice do in that case that kind of goes against an uplifting of the culture as you're trying to do?
Okay, so to begin with, I think you were kind of right about the white knighting. It was a bit ridiculous. I don't think that was especially misogynistic or anything, but it was just very poor style. It was like, tabloid grade bullshit essentially. And when you think about it, it's also a very self-defeating statement, right? Because if you say this kind of stuff, then why would Jack would want to get involved with you, right? So just because you are willing to make this kind of statement is reason enough for Jack to not get involved with BCH in any way. And as a result, you don't need any theory to explain why you wouldn't do that, whatever the theory is. So that's one reason why it's self-defeating. But also, this is like the private life of people. Like, even if it's true, I don't actually think that's true, but even if it's true, then that's
all right. So basically, Amaury, so what this episode is going to consist of is basically me reading a lot of comments from this chat room Telegram channel called BCH Gang, and it's essentially been a hypothetical battleground for several developers in the space. Obviously, Amaury being the most active in this kind of debate, if you want to call it that. But he's basically going John Wick mode is kind of how he described it. And so we're just going to start off here. So this is a message from Peter Risen in this channel. I will show it actually. And so I'm just going to read a little bit. So I'm going to be scrolling up and down a lot. I forwarded a lot of messages to myself, but it's really hard to get all this organized and exact. So it basically, we were in contact with, so this is from Peter Risen. They were in contact with influential Chinese miners at the time, and this is BU. I'm going to go back a little bit. In the spring of the year of the fork, 2017, up to 50% of the hash power was signaling for a hard fork to larger blocks for BTC via BU, which ideally would use BUIP, Bitcoin Unlimited Improvement Protocol 55, which is basically from 1 megabyte to 2 megabytes. And they were in contact with influential Chinese miners at the time. They wanted to support SegWit 2x as a compromise, but to rework 055. And thanks for the bucks, CSW. They said they would support a fork and mine it, which is Bitcoin Cash. Andrew and the other BU devs were working for a long time to make this happen, along with Free Trader and Amaury. Everyone was working together despite some tensions. There's also truth in what Anthony Zegers said about BU being supportive of 2x. We were, well, at least I was, and he viewed BCH as a backup plan if SegWit 2x didn't pan out. And so I think this is kind of the point of contention that Amaury is kind of putting on these other guys. It's Amaury talks about game theory a lot. His presentation in Bitcoin Cash City was about game theory, and I actually went drinking with the guy, so I did actually meet him. Whatever. I do need to get him on the show soon, by the way. But it's basically the game theory. He basically said the best comparison I have is that he told me was that if you're trying to start your own country and you want to like claim a piece of land and have literally no laws or anything applied to you, the best way to do it is essentially a very strong commitment strategy, like the strongest you can get. Obviously, it helps to have like weapons of sorts. Like I'm gonna blow up a bunch of people if you invade me, and basically, Amaury saying you have to be crazy enough that people will think you will actually do it, and like that, the commitment that shows you're ready to do this makes people confident in what you believe in, and something like this. Again, I have nothing. I'm just like reading comments and kind of interpreting this all as we are in the show. I'm trying not to take too many sides. I've interviewed Andrew Stone, Ryzen, Amaury, and for my documentary, which is coming out soon, and I think. I don't think they're malicious, but some people disagree. So, and Peter says, I was hoping we could stick together as one chain. And so 2x obviously failed, and that's when Roger switched to Bitcoin Cash. And I think I have basically, so Amaury said the reality is that Free Trader, which is it's an anonymous developer. He's in these Telegram chats, and on Twitter, he's got like a boat as his icon. Amaury says, the reality is that Free Trader, John Lefouiquebois, and myself did all the coding, setting websites, contact exchanges, wrote documents, etc. And I believe this is backed up by Zeggers somewhere. And Andrew saying that BUIP 55 was a sort of a hard fork movement, at least within BU. This transition into a working group on BU Slack where several people, including Amaury and Free Trader, working together to fork. And so like here, it's kind of Amaury saying BU had nothing to do with BCH because they were like 2x, so they weren't fully committed to BU at the fork. And so Peter says Amaury's played a huge role by releasing ABC on time to make sure the fork would happen. I'm not sure it would have occurred at that point without him. So basically, if Amaury wouldn't have forked on August 1st, we would have had some type of Bitcoin with SegWit, essentially, because SegWit was active on August 1st. I think there wasn't a first SegWit till like a couple weeks later, but it's around that time, basically. And then, so I think I'm going to go back up here. And so Peter's saying here, I would also say that Andrew Stone played a much larger role than most people recognize. The truth of the matter is that BCH was born by the efforts of many people. And all this seems fairly immature to me. I can't even tell which facts are being disputed. And so, like I says, let's see. Again, this is just like a bunch of messages. I'm trying to digest them a little bit for people. Amaury is a real Jedi of crypto. Yeah, did you make? Oh, that's the image I forgot. I know that image is around somewhere. It's like the worst Photoshop. It's just like a square cut out of Amaury on the Luke Skywalker. Yeah, that's you. Please send it to me. So here's also something with BU. So again, it's like a BU versus ABC type thing at this point. It seems like, which are the two main implementations. One other thing that is in the messages here is that ABC is basically the only node implementation that miners run, and miners are essentially incentivized. This is, I believe, simplifying, but I think I kind of got this. They're incentivized to stick together with all the other miners on the same software. And basically this is just to be in sync with each other. So if like you mine a block and some reason your client has some weird feature consensus rule that all of a sudden this other software doesn't support, they could just like orphan your block and you could be out a bunch of money. And so generally the miners stick to the same software, which is basically what we saw on Bitcoin Core. It's a similar thing. And so it's kind of this weird thing, like, is multiple node implementations good? Yes, I think some are good for different things when you go about this, such as BCHD, I think I've read correctly, is kind of good for like a read, like an SPV type node that you would run. And it's just more lightweight and is not as like hefty, if you could say. And so this is from Henrik Weed. Bitcoin Unlimited's announcements are often driven by short-term hyping a solution. especially the last one. Especially everybody in the BCH community wants to solve, e.g., the unconfirmed transaction limit, but solving is not simple. The problem with some people in the BCH community that are not good protocol devs is that they claim to have the means to distinguish good versus bad solutions. They usually don't, which is definitely where I stand. Like, I have no idea. Like, check data to verify. Like, is it good? Is it good? Make sure you check everybody around, and like people that do know what they're talking about have a proven track record of knowing what they're talking about. If something's actually good or not. And so everyone who's a good dev knows there are tons of specialization. When Omri and other devs criticize easy solutions, it is not because they want to stifle development. It is because there is a good reason to step back and look thoroughly at proposed solutions and not just throw something together in a few days with no coordination. And here's some other juicy stuff. Omri says, I don't think Bitcoin.com or Roger made a lot of money on BCH. In fact, they most likely lost upward of $100 million, mostly due to their own terrible strategic decisions such as supporting and promoting CSW. I bet this is why Stephen Russ was looped in. He seems much more level-headed. And so this is kind of so we'll start at the top from this. So again, this is Bitcoin.com did a fundraiser for Bitcoin Cash development, and basically ABC from the outside, like very simplified, ABC couldn't accept the money anymore. There was like a bunch of money dedicated towards ABC, but we'll go through this. Corbin is somebody who works at Bitcoin.com. He's always on the weekly shows. Awesome guy. Again, like all these people are great people. It's just disagreements that is finally being aired publicly, and I think very many people are confused. That's like what's actually happening. So here we go. And so this is what Corbin claims, is that if he remembers correctly, the plans for anti-war. Okay, so there was also. Let's see if I have. Oh yeah, this is a good. The Lightning Network conference. He's got antennas and Raspberry Pis glued onto his head. So again, just for some perspective here, would you rather have this or these very in the weeds conversations being aired publicly? Hey, here for the spice popcorn, right? I guess. So basically the fundraiser, I believe in the beginning, was for anti-war and Bitcoin Cash, like kind of together. I don't know too much about anti-war, but the plans for anti-war changed it due to some concerns certain people had for pissing off potential whale investors from China when Roger sent out a tweet promoting local.bitcoin using the Tank Man meme, the Tiananmen Square meme. The group working on the fundraiser backed out of anti-war, not Roger. And so it's, again, I don't know like how it all worked in the weeds. And Omri says, yes, this is a very good move. The campaign lost indeed a lot of traction in China after that. There was a realization that anti-war might be too political of a group to put this all through, for fear it would impact donations from people behind the Great Firewall. So like if people from China wanted to donate, Chinese investors like PewDiePie literally just got banned from China like 2 days ago. Like this is happening in every sector, wherever China is. It's, if you support Hong Kong in any way, like see you later. China's got 1 billion people in it. Like it's insane, right? Like half the Bitcoin mining is in China. Like that's what Jihan just said on his interview with Stephen Russ, which is very good, by the way. I recommend go checking that out. It's like 20 minutes. But yeah, and then Omri says, this is certainly not what happened when discussing with other concerned parties. And Corbin says, don't want to name names, but certain people who are more risk adverse made the switcheroo. And then Omri says, it is not possible to cooperate with parties that pull switcheroos. This is just utterly and completely unacceptable and unprofessional behavior from someone that pretends to be a partner. The fundraiser certainly could have gone better, but there were lots of cooks in the kitchen. Some wanted the stock to be spicy. Others wanted it mild. Some people wanted to start a separate pot of soup while another pot was simmering. And Corbin posted a screenshot, but of like a conversation. It just said Tiananmen Square in it. And basically, people could donate to anti-war, and part of the donation would fund BCH infrastructure, and part would go to anti-war. It was a good way to promote communities that have a lot of commonalities to each other. Plus, anti-war has all the setup required for compliance. Omri says, Roger changed everything last minute to create the whole competition between implementation. And I believe this is when they separated, there was like a BCHD address, a ABC address, a BU address. So this is like when I first went public, I believe. And this caused a compliance problem because nobody was ready to receive funds in that form. There are many laws regarding this. In addition, there are good practices that banks and lawyers expect you to comply with, even if not strictly required, aka a gray area. You're receiving donations from anonymous people, and hey, Glitzy, come back around. You got your job, don't you want it? Don't be an anarcho Facebook recruiter. Jesus. Yes, Omri did. Omri says he spread all of Facebook to Japan through his infrastructure. So, name something more French than a soup metaphor. That was Corbin who said the metaphor, but yeah, maybe he's just trying to speak the language. And so yeah, that's so basically the compliance. And again, I don't really fully understand yet how the direct donations wouldn't have had to go through compliance. But when they took anti-war out, it didn't. Again, I don't know this completely, but this is where the disagreement lies, is right here. And so let's see what else we got in here. What other juicy stuff we got? P55. And this is some spice. Okay, so the zero conf the zero conf chain transaction limit, which BU put out. I believe Satoshi Dice, I'm going to Google it real quick to see the exact amount. But they basically put out a bounty to raise this limit. Satoshi Dice unconfirmed transaction bounty. Double spend against the Satoshi Dice. Oh, Jesus. 2012. Okay. Yes, 1,000 BCH. So he says, if we can remove the 25 unconfirmed transaction limit before the end of the year, we'll do the next 1,000 BCH. We earn up to €1 million value to the Bitcoin Cash Developer Fund. I'm not sure. Was the developer fund the thing we were just talking about? That's great. No, donate to that. Let's see this. And so basically they I think they moved it up to 200 or something like that BU, and they wrote some code assumably to get this bounty. And Omri says, well, here's the deal. What they did is breaking zero conf unless this is rolled out properly. For instance, when we changed the size of OpReturn, we wrote a spec, had a meeting with other devs, had the code ready for several months before deploying, etc. And so basically, Omri is open to the idea, but it's we need to test this. We need to test this and stress test and make sure nothing fucks up. We can't just roll it out for no reason. And so here's some more spice. This goes back to the commitment strategy. And so if you didn't know, BU holds 95% of their USD holdings or USD value in BTC. And 5% in BCH. It's literally so lopsided, and it's probably about the same amount of coins, right? Sadly, but still, it's come on. There's obviously a market value for these things, and he liked a BSV tweet about a bunch of mempool, and somebody asked why he liked it, and he says, "I liked it because it further shows how hugely Bitcoin can scale. It helps shift the overturn window that says 1 megabyte is as far as we can safely go. Adam Back literally groups people who believe Bitcoin can scale on-chain to global levels as anti-science flat earthers. Most of the industry is miscalibrated by about 3 orders of magnitude of scale. Sorry. And so we got 1,000 BCH. The 25 chain transactions. There you go, 1,000 BCH. We'll get to this. And so this is talking about Roger. He's a good salesman, that is for sure. There's more to understanding the business space than this, and for everything else, he's been catastrophic. I assume he knows it, or he wouldn't have hired Stefan. In fact, let me state this. Here's some good spice for you. If we did not have the sense to fork BCH when he was supporting SegWit 2x, then he'd have been done. Same with the BSV fork. If we did not prepare, Roger would be Craig's bitch by now. So, I'll cut some slack to Roger when he stopped generating a constant stream of shit he has to deal with. And so, again, this is like Omri's... God, I don't say it. It's him John Wicking, right? Like, bang, 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 shoot all the bad people. I mean, obviously, it's like just words and no violence, whatever. Anarchy, right? And then, by the way, Omri and Roger do talk about every week or so. Roger's going to do what Roger's going to do, they say at Bitcoin.com. And again, I agree with Omri on a lot of this stuff. Bitcoin.com is valuable, but I don't agree with Omri because Bitcoin Cash should be green because it helps differentiate the brands. Several members did propose a Bitcoin improvement protocol, Bitcoin Unlimited, to split the 50-50 between BTC and BCH, and both Peter R. and Andrew Stone voted against. So that was the distribution I was talking about. And more spice. Omri also said BU has been detrimental to BCH because they say its leadership constantly plays politics. And to be frank, people like Roger have been enabling this behavior. Yes, Andrew and Andrew decided to not activate big blocks in 2017 on mainnet as Miner asked for an activation plan because not using emergent consensus would be collusion, their word. So I don't want to go into it too much because it's emergent consensus, I believe. Fuck, what is it like again? It's basically some like technobabble-y type thing as far as I understand it. It's not tech. It's technobabble in a way that it's... Okay, here's what it is. It's when miners orphan each other's blocks, like in competition in like a hash war and stuff, right? And we have seen that this doesn't happen. And people just mine their own chains and say, it's not worth attacking them. And I didn't forward it in here, but I just do want to say that Peter says he would split the 1,000 BCH with ABC if they would help integrate this unconfirmed transaction chained limit into ABC. So that was offered. I don't have the message here, but I do remember factually seeing that. And so that's kind of the really juiciest drama I can give to you. Again, this has like been a disagreement, it seems like, in the background for a very long time. And it's just kind of coming out in this public chat room. So, hey, we might as well talk about it, right? There's a reason he's going public with this. So someone is unhappy. But yeah, let me know if y'all got any comments. I just read through a bunch. I did before we get into that. I did. This is an article by the executive editor. I don't know if that's his official title. The lead writer, whatever. This dude that writes all the time, Kelso. And I'm gonna read some of this because I think it works as a monologue because Kelso is a very eloquent writer. Is it eloquent? You can use that in writing, or is it just... Anyways. Granted, Kelso is in an unusual position, working for the spicy coin. My gig affords me a certain luxury to spend the day surveying a broader spectrum of the brave new world cryptocurrency is creating. This article is called Not Leaving Crypto. And though I've done some interesting offers to leave and do other things, I stay happily. It's not that I push my head in the sand, ignoring structural problems. My economic training tells me the relative power and rise of centralized exchanges might not be ultimately sustainable. Their heavy reliance on coddling to regulators and licensors, erecting barriers to entry against competition under the guise of security, and protecting traders, it does leave me cold. They're simply recreating legacy finance. Even a cursory look at the likes of Tether weaving its way through major exchanges' volume is enough to make your butthole pucker. It's a form, albeit different, of central banking in the worst sense. Those USDT supposedly pegged or backed by government denominations might not be solvent as a matter of course. Trading pairs dominate in Tether are a chimera, an accounting fiction. The only disclosed ratio admitted to by legal counsel for the issuing company puts the number at about 74%. That's not a small gap. Price manipulation is real. I'm just going to skip that for time. Chances are good the project I favor will fail. Tribalists in the space make life very difficult for anyone trying to separate fact from fiction. CoinSpice obviously has a bias, peer-to-peer electronic cash. So maybe we're a version of this problem as well. Fair enough. We're upfront about it, however, and folks come to us about our takes. I'm Reno, the DFU Ways Block, Samuel Zepsi, same music block, Pierce Cuff. Jesus Christ. All right. Anyway, we're upfront about it, however, and folks come to us for our takes in this regard and how we relate them to that prejudice. And there's our blessed homeland, their barbarous waste, our glorious leader, their wicked despot, our great religion, their primitive superstition, our noble populace, their backward savages, our heroic adventurers, their brutish invaders. Tribalism is nauseous. The differences between some coins is so minuscule to normal people that even I, Mr. Spice, get a little embarrassed by how doctrinate I can come off. The truth is, the coin you support or the project I favor might bite the dust, and hard, for a myriad of reasons. It doesn't even need a fundamental flaw necessarily. Crypto markets are so tiny, so correlated and coupled, that our favorite blockchain could eat crap for no other reason than they all do. My eldest daughter finds my current line of work a fun topic of conversation. The way she sees it, her pop is either a genius, way ahead of the financial curve, or part of those multi-level marketing idiots who fell for one of history's greatest cons. And to be completely honest, there doesn't seem to be a lot of middle ground when I really think about her teasing. Why I stay. Damn, it's too late now. My professional name and body of work is utterly wrapped up in cryptocurrency. If it does implode, so do both. All it's going to take is some whacked out terrorist to use BTC as the principal financing for his blowing up of a U.S. school, complete with pictures of him wearing coin spice socks, on sale now, to force everyone out of their collective hallucination and back into reality. Governments, despite what the knuckleheads insist, do have mechanisms to bring the ecosystem grinding halts. And they're getting better at certain off-ramping, on-ramping, and shutdowns all the time. Why do I stay? I believe this is our generation's chance to carve out some real substantive financial freedom autonomy. It is, and I know it is, because of the panic crypto sets off among lawmakers, haters, and traditional finance types. We're exactly no threat now, and we're probably closer to an inside joke, a punchline at Wall Street cocktail parties. Stay sober, my friends. The past decade or so, however, I've watched crypto go from wide-eyed dreamers to institutional schemers and online hucksters, and flower into a real force necessary to grapple with. It's a truly international phenomenon, and people from all walks of life are participating at various levels. I spend my day speaking to producers in South America, China, Japan, Europe, occasionally Africa, and North America. That's incredibly exciting, even though I cannot be certain of what will come of all this. I can't know. Anyone who tells you they do know is full of shit. Period. They do not. And yes, Tether is insidious, but that's never not been the case. In fact, the very prices they're measuring against are in fiat, and I won't take you seriously if you believe leaving crypto for fiat is any more moral. That's a stupid argument. Now, right now, I have a choice, a viable one, in cryptocurrency, and I intend to stay and fight for its betterment, even though I have no idea how any of this will shake out. So, beautiful article there by Kelso. I just wanted to read a bunch of that out. I thought it was very beautiful, so that came out today. So, one other thing that Omri has been complaining about is funding. It is funding. I know I talked to Shama about this on a show a week or so ago, but I thought I forwarded the message where he like goes into the numbers. Let me look real quick. It's a lot. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money that we need. That Bitcoin Cash needs, and it's just crazy to see the amount of money flowing into this Lightning conference and these solutions that are solving made up problems that Bitcoin doesn't have, that this second layer has. And here it is, actually. Let's run some basic numbers. You want to have someone able to intervene 24/7 in case some shit hits the fan, right? Bitcoin Cash. Well, that means you need 3 people a day. But wait, there are weekends, holidays, people get sick, etc., right? So you need 6 experienced software engineers paid full-time on the project, so they know it very well and can intervene when need be. Add some infrastructure, accounting, and various other crap, you are already in the 1 million to 2 million USD a year in terms of budget. And so Cameron Lee, who I'm hoping to have on the show soon, but he's like lives in Japan, so it's like hard for him to get up or something. I don't know. And basically he says, have you hired getting a business guy? He said they could be in charge of fundraising to make sure you guys always have enough resources to do what's necessary. Amri says, well, if we had any money, we'd pay someone to do that, yes. If someone wants to try to bootstrap this, there's pretty much a guarantee we can hire it as soon as budget allows. And Cameron says, it's a problem I see. There's a lack of businessmen. He says, we have some businessmen, but it doesn't look like any of them actually build any software whatsoever. Of course, chicken and egg, but you're not opposed to the idea? He says, to the contrary, I'm all for it. We have a comment saying BTC, BSV are all trash. Yeah, I'll agree with you. That totally wasn't a typo. I know that. So, this is fine, guys. This is fine. Don't worry, guys. This is completely fine. This is fine. So, in conclusion, I guess you would call us decentralized because we're always fighting. There's no central authority that dictates a narrative by any means, which is can be looked at as a good thing or a bad thing. So much disagreement, but you gotta wade through the shit and like who's actually trying to do it, who's trying to make this shit happen, who's fully committed, who's ready to press that button for the nuke to go off in case somebody attacks them, right? I mean, I'm here for peer-to-peer cash, and right now that's Bitcoin Cash. So all this disagreement, you could kind of tell if you were looking really closely that there was always something going on. Who created BCH? Amri Sachet, Bitcoin ABC, mainly. And Bitcoin. Damn, I lost my train of thought. Damn the comments. But again, these disagreements, they've been around, and now they're just getting aired. And I feel like in my position right now, it's kind of like a responsibility I have to give these people voices, because there's people that watch me. I don't know. It's a place for people to go, and when you have all this text in a chat room, which does have 500 plus people in it, so it's not private by any means. Investors have a right to know. Will it hurt the Bitcoin Cash price? Well, that's basically what all Amri's arguments have been. Like, this shit isn't working. We're at 3% of BTC right now, and again, he's pressing the nuke button at this point, and or he's at least starting the launch countdown. So if we want Bitcoin to survive, we have to look at these solutions, and it seems like just a lot more money would help. I don't know. It's like, but where does this come from? How do these Lightning Network guys get to where they are? Is it just an easy shelling point, which is like the central point of argument, that we are the biggest, we're gonna win, and we're just the biggest, or what is it? Thank you, Coin Spice. You're not afraid to bring real topics. Yeah, that's what we. Spice is the brutal truth, as we always say. At least I say. I don't know if anybody else has said it yet, but please say it. I like it. Spice is the brutal truth. Spice is the brutal truth. So, again, I'm calling it like it is out here. Like, I don't like bullshit, and this crypto world is so full of technobabble that you don't know what is real and what's not unless you're like really looking at it every day, constantly. And I've been fortunate to have that opportunity to be very observant in the last couple of years, because this shit's so damn interesting. We're trying to build a whole nother financial system, and we're trying. I don't know. We're trying. It's how do you build a financial system decentralized with no authority? You're going to have these types of disagreements. It's not going to be easy to get a world money that everybody uses. We're still so early, and I wish we weren't, and I wish everybody knew how to use Bitcoin. BTC and the core devs didn't help at all. Blockstream had quite the commitment strategy. They knew what they were doing. They had a shelling point saying, hey, we're going to sell second layers, and that's what they're fucking doing. That's why they're being successful right now, and that's why they're getting the VC money. And I believe ABC's Bitcoin Cash, by extensions, goal is peer-to-peer cash for the world. And I don't know if that's just not sexy. I mean, Amri says money should be boring. Like, you shouldn't have to you shouldn't be like, wow, money, like you see a US dollar and like, yeah, you want more of it, but you're not like amazed at how it works. Like there's no, I mean, people think money's cool, I guess, but money should be boring, and that's kind of the point we have to get to, right? We have to build Bitcoin to that point, and at the end of the day, someone needs to write the code, and it's not gonna be me, because I'm just trying to. I don't know how to code. I just know how to talk shit. So here we are. Please recap this discussion. Just watch it again, my guy. It's just a lot of reading. So, but yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap it up there. I'm gonna be on D Live. I'll probably should talk some more on there. So please come join me. Links in the description. But again, just do your own research. If you think there's disagreements like this that don't happen in other cryptos and other projects, there's a couple reasons. One is that there's a central authority that decides everything, and another is that nobody gives a shit. And that wasn't actually the second reason. Boom, centralized disagreements, or people just don't care and just want to make a quick buck. And I think Bitcoin Cash is full of people that do care. So that's why I'm still here. So anyways, somber. Anyways, coming on D Live. Thank you for tuning in. And yeah, if you want to come hang out, I'll be there. I'm on Browse Twitter and probably shit talk. So let me stop this broadcast. Thanks for the episode.